In this video, I discuss President Putin's accusation that Ukraine is planning to use a dirty bomb and how China continues to prod North Korea to provoke South Korea in hopes of starting a nuclear war there. Hello, friends. This is Unmasked Truth with Harmanjeet Saini, where I provide unique analysis of world events based on the unmasked truth that after surrender, Germany continued World War II clandestinely and became a killing machine. I also provide true news that you will find nowhere else. According to the Washington Post, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu made a claim and calls with the defense ministers of France, UK, and Turkey on Sunday, October 23, 2022, that he was concerned about possible provocation by Ukraine with the use of a dirty bomb, and noted that the situation in Ukraine is rapidly deteriorating. In response, foreign ministers from the United States, France, and the United Kingdom said in a joint statement, "We all reject Russia's transparently false allegations that Ukraine is preparing to use a dirty bomb on its own territory." They called Defense Minister Shoigu's claims as unfounded, stating that the world would see through any attempt to use this allegation as a pretext for escalation, characterizing them as an attempt by Russia to create a pretext for escalating the conflict. Washington Post said Ukrainian officials immediately rejected Shoigu's claims and accused Russia of making false threats to justify its own escalatory attack on Ukrainian territory. Dmytro Kuleba, Ukraine's foreign minister, said he extended a formal invitation to UN nuclear inspectors to independently establish that Ukraine has nothing to hide. According to President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, this could mean that Russia itself could be preparing for an attack of this kind. The Washington Post stated that it could not verify either side's claim. The paper went on to describe what a dirty bomb is. Dirty bombs are made of conventional explosives and radioactive material designed to spread the material once they explode. They are not nuclear weapons and bear no resemblance to the atomic bombs used by the United States in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. Dirty bombs are far less powerful. Their radiation could be dispersed within a few blocks or miles of the explosion, according to the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. As the department notes, the explosive substance in a dirty bomb is more likely to cause harm to humans than the radioactive material it carries. The goal of using a dirty bomb may not be maximal destruction, but rather an attempt to create fear and panic, contaminate property, and require potentially costly cleanup, it explains. A few hours before President Putin launched Russia's special operations in Ukraine in February 2022, I had advised President Putin in a video to go into Ukraine and root out and exterminate the Nazis from Ukraine who were planning to provoke Russia into a war. In addition, they were planning to install nuclear weapons with the help of Germany and develop biological and chemical weapons, all to be used against Russia. That's why Russia had to go in and root out the Nazis to prevent this existential threat to Russia. In this entire war, the only party telling the whole truth is Russia. All the Western countries and the Nazi Zelensky in Ukraine are lying about the war. Therefore, when Russia's defense minister accuses Ukraine of planning to use a dirty bomb, perhaps against ethnic Russians in its own territory, and accuse Russia of an attempt to escalate the conflict, I believe Russia and reject the lies of Zelensky and Western leaders. Zelensky implied that Russia is accusing Ukraine of exactly what it is planning to do itself. I beg to differ with the Nazi Zelensky. Satan inspired Nazis are the greatest experts in such diabolical propaganda tactics, not Russia. So he's the one accusing Russia of what he himself is planning to do. In many of my recent videos, I've stated that Germany and China have been trying to provoke the United States and Russia to respond to launch of nuclear weapons or launch their own nuclear weapons. They have been using proxies to achieve this goal. They tried to inveigle Iran to start a conflict with the United States. They gave India the technology for nuclear weapons and ICBMs in the hope that India would use them against North India and Pakistan, and expecting that the United States would respond. I hope my warnings to both nations to not be duped by Germany and China from starting a nuclear war prevented them from doing so. Now Germany is trying to use Nazis in Ukraine with the Nazi Zelensky in charge to start a nuclear war with Russia to see how Russia will respond. Meanwhile, China has been trying to inveigle North Korea to start a conflict with South Korea with the possible use of nuclear weapons to see how the United States and South Korea will respond. CNBC reported today North and South Korea exchanged warning shots off the west coast on Monday, accusing each other of breaching their western maritime border amid heightened military tension. The South's Joint Chiefs of Staff said it broadcast warnings and fired warning shots to see off a North Korean merchant vessel that crossed the northern limit line at around 3:40 a.m. The North's military said it fired 10 artillery shells after a South Korean Navy ship violated the northern limit line and fired warning shots on the pretext of tracking down an unidentified ship, according to state media. On October 4, 2022, North Korea fired an intermediate range ballistic missile over Japan, which was airborne for 17 minutes, traveling more than 2,800 miles before crashing into the water. Fortunately, Japan did not make a miscalculation about this provocation. Germany and China have been trying to start the Third World War since 2014 when they tested the new weapon system to bring down aircraft without firing projectiles at them. They brought down several Malaysian, Indonesian, Ethiopian, and Ukrainian passenger airliners and American helicopters and Osprey aircraft. America brought down a Chinese airliner in retaliation but did not respond to Chinese provocation after that. Germany and China will continue using proxies to provoke the Third World War, while other nations may not respond as they are told to by Germany and China for the sake of self preservation. The ones who will do as they are ordered are the Nazis, whom I call German masqueraders in various white countries of Europe. The Nazi Zelensky is in power in Ukraine. Keep your eyes on him to use whatever weapons he can to provoke a nuclear response from Russia. Russian defense minister is telling the truth when he is accusing Ukraine of planning to use a dirty bomb in its own territory or even in Russian territory. By now it should be clear that Satan and the demons communicate with Germans and German masqueraders. All have been taught from childhood that when they hear voices or have ideas communicated to them, they should feel honored that Satan and the demons consider them worthy to communicate with them. Satan is a destroyer. He is called the devil because he is a cunning, crafty, and diabolical deceiver and destroyer. That's why God made it a law for ancient Israel to destroy those who deal with demons and those who follow after those that do. Leviticus 20 verse 6 says, "And the soul that turns after such as have familiar spirits are demons, and after wizards, to go a whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul and will cut him off from among his people," basically to execute such a person. Leviticus 20 verse 27 states, "A man also or a woman that has a familiar spirit or that is a wizard shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones, their blood shall be upon them." God warned ancient Israel in Deuteronomy 18 verses 9 to 12. "When you are come into the land which the Lord your God gives you, you shall not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you any one that makes his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord, And because of these abominations, the Lord your God drives them out before you. So basically, because all the nations were dealing with the demons, that is why God drove them out of the land of Israel. We see the results that tens of millions of German descent people of German descent in America have been able to achieve over the past 50 years. They have filled the land with violence and bloodshed and have clandestinely murdered nearly 10 million white American adults and children of non German ancestry, cremating to 5 to 6 million alive in electric crematoriums, 3 to 4 million in medical murders or in other ways, and 30 to 40 million through abortions. They achieved this because each and every one of them is tuned to Satan and the demons. Even the children are taught that if they hear voices, they should obey them. Even if their infant grows up who could not be taught about Satan and the demons because the parents passed away or any other reason, the demons can still communicate with him or her and seduce them to inquire about their parents. When they learn that their parents were of German ancestry, the person who learned nothing about demons while growing up will start obeying them. That is the reason God advised Israelites to exterminate all, including infants, of the nations whose land they were to occupy. The adults in those nations led the practice of evil. But in the case of Germans, the whole nations and all masqueraders in other nations are steeped in it because they listen to what Satan and the demons communicate with them from childhood. That is why it is even more important to apply God's commandments to the Germans concerning those who communicate with demons or fellow or familiar spirits. Remember, based on present day borders, 1 in every 4 Jewish victims of the Holocaust was murdered in Ukraine. That is close to 1.4 million Jews. It was the German masqueraders who had been living mainly in Ukraine and Belarus who collaborated with the German Nazis to carry out this part of the Holocaust. Zelensky is a descendant of those Nazis. That is the kind of existential threat German masqueraders pose to countries where they live in large numbers. Without implementing the solution given as a command by God, they will remain an existential threat. Again, keep your eyes on the Nazi Zelensky and his associates in Ukraine. He still might succeed in provoking the Third World War by doing what Germans ask him to do in the name of Satan. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please continue to watch my videos and read my articles on important world events, World War III watch, politics, international business, advice on health and medical problems, and much more for in-depth and insightful analysis. Please also subscribe to my YouTube and Facebook channels Unmasked Truth with Harmanjeet Saini to view and get information on the latest videos. Some people do not have the time to go through the full length of videos. They find it more convenient to read the text of the video. Unfortunately, YouTube does not provide the facility to make the text of my videos available on YouTube, but fortunately Facebook does provide that capability. So I make the text of my videos available on my Facebook channel, which you can easily copy.